Hey everyone, I'm Robert Olguin. Interesting people doing interesting things in our community. That's the motto of this show. And today on the border, we have Johnny Escalante, who's living in interesting times, as we all are. Johnny, thanks for taking some time out.
I'm very happy to do this.
Okay, well listen, in terms of a brief sort of sketch of your career, you're half of J&K Presents, which is an entertainment company. You're also a bar owner,
Yes.
Johnny. So at a time when the bar business has been turned upside down.
You know what? I started with the J&K, which is an event and promotion company. We do concerts, throughout the city. Thousands of tickets sold throughout the year. So that was the first part of my business that kind of took effect. There was no large gatherings. So we've already canceled 2 big shows. Originally postponed and then canceled.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we own 2 bars. We get several hundreds, if not thousands of people on a weekly basis.
Sure. To be clear, you're talking about Later and Lost and Found, 2 very popular bars here in El Paso. But as with all bars in the state of Texas, are being forced to close down. And by the way, we are practicing safe social distancing here. As you can see, Johnny's on the opposite end of the room from me here.
At least 6 feet.
At
Might
least
be a
6
little more.
feet. Yeah, I think so. But okay, so let's talk about this, because Later, which opened about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and then Lost and Found is less than a year old, or about a year old.
About
right
a year.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
we just
so
had our 1-year anniversary.
2 very popular bars, but the bar business. What's happening right now?
I mean, it's so surreal. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, I feel like we're living in a movie. Being from a small town like El Paso, we don't have the international airports. We don't have the tourism. So every time you see something that happens, of course, you see it and you feel it a little bit because it's happening in the big cities and major markets, whether it be, the economy hurting a little bit or some devastating terrorist attack even. And, you're almost a little isolated being in a small town. So when this not only happened worldwide and you saw it spread and, at first the memes were happening,
right.
The jokes, people were even saying, let's throw a Corona party, it was all giggles. And then it hit home. Where I was refreshing my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And it's almost like every hour there was a new update. And it really sat me back and said, man, how serious is this thing? What do we need to do? And then, the business part of us was kind of like, how are we going to get affected on the business end? But then also the social responsibility part started playing a role. Like, what do I need to do as a community partner to mitigate this?
Right. Well, I've got. I'll interrupt you here briefly. I think that has to be probably the most difficult decision that people in your position had to make, which was obviously everyone wants to be socially responsible. Obviously, everyone wants to do their part. But closing down businesses means people are out of work. And so that reality had to start hitting home with you. And I just want to know what was going through your head as that starts happening.
The reality is that it happened so fast. I don't think any bar owner in town, even the most savvy, the most well-prepared, even the ones that own probably businesses in other markets that got affected before it came here, I don't think any of us were really prepared for how quick it hit. So in my head as a business owner, you have the responsibility of several people that depend on this job. So the biggest thing that came into my head was, oh shit, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
How are we going to tell these people? What are they going to do? How long can they survive? How long can we survive? What if it's 2 weeks? What if it's 2 months? What happens to our lenders, our bankers, our insurance? What do I need to do? So all this fear comes, and me and my partner have built a business off of social experience.
Yeah.
I mean, we own a co-working space with hundreds of people through the door every day.
Right.
And it's just like, now they're all working from home. Now they're not going to pay their rents.
Right.
What's the domino effect for me, the little guy? And I'll be honest with you, we're still a young company. We're not prepared to have sick leave. We're not prepared to have, you know, all this figured out. So this is kind of like what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
I'm like having meetings with accountants. I'm reaching out, I'm trying to read as much as I can on what we can do to mitigate this damage.
Yeah.
And luckily, you know, I feel like the community is very strong. The nation is coming together. Things like this, it's kind of sucks to say, but things like this bring people together. So, you know, we've had overwhelming response from some community people that they understand what everything's going through. So I think if we all get together, we all work together, it's going to soften the blow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a considerable blow,
I
because
was going to say the blow's still going to be there, but
Yeah.
it'll soften it a little bit.
okay, because you mentioned something that I neglected.
And I'm just being positive there. I'm just trying to speak that into fruition. I don't know what the blow will be, but I hope that we all come together.
Yeah. I neglected to mention that on top of the bars, you're involved with 1-1, which is a co-working space that you alluded to. I didn't even stop to think about the concert promotion element of it because, of course, concerts were canceled as well. So you're getting hit on all fronts.
I mean, we're a big part of the Neon Desert VIP experience. That's one of our favorite events of the year. It's become a staple in the city. I mean, we activate that whole VIP with the cool things and the passion stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that everyone, if you're from El Paso, I've had people be like, "Oh, this is my 7th Neon Desert." You know what I mean? From they're 15 years old to 22 or whatever.
Sure.
So, what's gonna happen? This is a very interesting time.
Yeah.
Awkward, strange. I'm still. Today I woke up at like 10 a.m., which is kind of rare for me, and I was just like, what do I do? I mean, I can't find another job. You know,
Yeah.
sleeping in was nice though, so
Yeah.
that'll probably get old by next week.
And can't go to the gym now either, I guess, is
Oh,
another thing
God,
too.
yeah.
That's another. Okay, so listen, let's talk about the journey here, because I find that to be equally as remarkable as you in terms of the speed by which all of this happened from a like an ordinance level, a legislative level. So as recently as 2 weeks ago, everyone's planning parties, everyone's planning concerts, and you're looking down the road at Neon Desert and other events. Everyone is, I would imagine, looking forward to spring and summer. And then so when these things happen as quickly as they did, does your mind, like, do you think you're still processing some of this
100%.
as a person and then as a businessman?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, I was watching the ordinance online when they were like, you know what, bars done, food or restaurants 50%.
Right.
2 days later, the governor comes out and says no.
Right.
So I mean, everything's changing so quick.
It is.
And the biggest fear for an entrepreneur, a business owner, a leader is the uncertainty, the unknown, right? So you can prepare all you want against a competitor. You can prepare all you want against trends, customer service, whatever you want to call it. You can prepare as much as you want, but you can't prepare for the uncertainty. Yeah. And we don't know, and I'm starting to read all these crazy stories and, the media kind of scares you a little bit. So we don't know what's true or what's not or how serious this is. And I don't know if it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks.
Yeah. In fairness, I'll defend the media in this regard, in the sense that, listen, I don't think anyone knows, right? And I think that's the issue, is that right now the emergency ordinance and the governor's executive order we're looking down the road to April 3rd, right? But you're absolutely right that this could mean there are scenarios, and in fact, the Trump White House has. There's been documents that have been released or seen that propose an 18-month plan for something like this. But I think that's on the far end, obviously. Yeah. But talk to me about what that means. Let's just say this is an 8-week, 10-week event, okay? From a business perspective, and I think you can probably expand this to include other small businesses in El Paso, but use your perspective if you would. What does that mean to a small business to be closed with zero income coming for 10 weeks?
It means in our industry,
Yeah.
a lot of closed doors forever.
Yeah.
It means a change in our entertainment that we haven't seen ever, I don't think. I don't think this is, as much as I read, the service industry is taking a big hit.
Sorry about that. Our phones are interrupting the interview here to tell us that
Amber alerts.
yeah, this is the same news that was released earlier today, that there are 6 confirmed cases in El Paso. So that was earlier. So I apologize.
That's what I can't wrap my head around. I'm like, 6 doesn't seem like a high number, right?
Correct.
So I can't wrap my head around, here I'm getting it again.
You can't wrap your head around the response. Is that the issue when you consider 6 people who've been infected, and you're thinking of a city of a metro area of 800,000? You're saying it doesn't seem to jive with the response.
Yes, it's that's what's like. We're like living in a movie. Like, and then if you go on Netflix right now, like the 2 more popular ones are like that pandemic show
right.
and the outbreak show. And I'm like, get anxiety just seeing them up there. Like, move, swipe.
Yeah.
But in a way, you see what's happening in like Italy and what happened in others. So like, I'm kind of glad that El Paso's taking the step forward and getting ahead of it right away. Yeah. 6 to me seems like a small number, but that's only what's been tested, right?
Correct. 70 people have been tested so far. So who knows?
That's 10%. Right. That's pretty high.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be scary and that's what I mean. It's a whole ecosystem, and it's a whole, there's a lot of people involved. Like, we buy all our produce, all our ice, juices, Cokes from certain vendors, and some of them are mom and pop shops. Our rents, our insurances, our payroll. A lot of us have, photographers, DJs, creative, like art designers. And I am telling you right now, I couldn't survive 8 weeks, 10 weeks without a paycheck. Like, no one probably wants to go through that. No income for that long and still have to pay your bills. And is everyone going to pause their bills? Like, the government's going to help and give aid.
Right.
But we're not picture clear on that yet. Yeah. We don't know. I think Trump's saying he's going to give everyone $1,000 or $1,700 or
right, and then there's talk of mortgage forgiveness,
yes,
or at least a pause on whether you could evict someone.
I think New York City, El Paso actually put that in effect. They said that you can't evict during this ordinance, and the utility companies can't shut you off.
Correct. All the utilities have joined on. They're not going to cut anyone off. But your point being, there's still a lot of ambiguity. There's still a lack of clarity in terms of what happens to people who have commercial real estate contracts, all that.
And the landlords are going to be hurting too. How many of them can survive with not getting a rent check for 3 months or 2 months? And then what happens to the little guy when it's like, hey man, your $4,000 is actually $12,000 now because you're back in business? Do you pay that off as little? They're just adding on debt.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies can't out on debt.
And digging out of that hole will be impossible for so many.
It becomes a little rat race in a way,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of businesses get hurt.
Is that why I've read articles talking about how across the country this could fundamentally change the restaurant scene?
100%.
Yeah. And is that what you're hearing from your colleagues in the business in El Paso?
Yes. The company that owns Neon Desert, Scoremore, they're out of Austin, They big company, they've done really well. And I know a bunch of those guys at my age, maybe younger, maybe a little older. But they make a life off of this. And, when we saw South by cancel, everyone was kind of like, whoa.
Agreed. That was a very early indicator that something was on the horizon.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And so I had a bunch of buddies of mine that were kind of freaking out, And in El Paso, you're kind of trying to test the waters and what does this mean? And for these guys had events with Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, Twitter, you name it, right? South by Southwest is huge. So everyone pulled out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, how big is that blow? Talking to some of my friends, they're like, man, we make a lot of our money for several months between here and Coachella, right? Traveling and doing the events and the activations and the Spotifys and this and that. And that just got wiped out. So those guys are that's when I started seeing oof.
Yeah.
You can't just put back these big events. And now I'm reading that the Olympics might postpone / cancel.
Right.
And they're saying that the event's too big to postpone. So this is crazy. Yeah, this is interesting. It's affecting everybody.
You mentioned something that I find interesting. You said that you can plan for things when you go into business, and you can be savvy. And I think it's safe to say that your company has been pretty savvy about a lot of the things that they've done. I think you and your partner, Kiki, have an instinct for what the city responds to from an entertainment perspective, from almost like an aesthetic, if you will, right? Like I think you guys have a solid instinct on that. And you can prepare for things, but there's no way that you can foresee a virus that then would result in complete closure. Right? There's just there's no contingency for that.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And, as a business owner, you can read as many books as you want. You can talk to as many mentors as you want, and you can study history. And yeah, sure. But I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And it's scary, and I don't want to scare more people, but we got ahead of it early in El Paso. But what if it catches up like it caught up to everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So what if we do get hit a little harder, And that's kind of the conversations that we're scared to have. How long do we prepare for?
What have you told your employees? What conversations are you having with them?
I mean, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah.
I don't know myself what's going to happen. So that's actually one of the shittiest conversations that I have with myself and with my team. I'm positive and I'm confident that we'll get through this eventually. I just don't know for how long. But we're hoping it's quick. We acted quick. We're all doing our part. And, you're closing every concert at the Dawn, right? Every bar, every gym. Everyone should be practicing social distancing. Hopefully it slows it down, That curve hopefully flattens out. And it's true. If everyone just stayed home by themselves for 2 weeks, right? That's what they're saying.
That's what we're hoping.
Or limited contact, and it should, But only time will tell, I guess.
And you think things will? You think things can? Let's say it is 2 weeks, and I guess just in some degree it could be longer. But let's say it is 2 weeks. You think things might look as they did in terms of the business landscape, even if it's just 2 weeks? Or
I'm putting it on the record right here. As soon as this thing is over, we're going to throw the biggest party this town has ever seen.
Okay.
Yes, if it ends within 2 weeks, I think we'll be able to recover really quick. Maybe not really quick, but we'd be okay.
Yeah.
2 months is scary. That's 2 weeks to 2 months is a big difference. And we're hoping it's quick. Because it's hard. It's hard to even digest it, really.
What do you end up doing when you're at home, when you're isolating? What's going on? What's the first and foremost? What are you up to?
I've been digesting so much content right now, on YouTube and social media.
Related to the coronavirus, or just
no. I'm trying to not read into that right now. And just taking some me time. I think a good vacay, and there's a lot of silver linings in this. It's been you're connected more to maybe some people around you. You're not as distracted. So I've been focusing a lot on me. I've set up a little gym in my house. I've been working out a little bit. But that's gonna get old pretty quick. Being a social guy, I need to be out, man.
Yeah. You're not a homebody. You're not someone we can say is thriving when you're alone. So
no. There's a lot of memes about man, introvert. I've been doing this for ever.
Right.
And nah, I'm the opposite. I'm freaking out. I'm getting cabin fever.
All right, we'll hang in there, and we'll get through it together, I hope.
I hope so too.
Thanks for sharing your time.
Thank you.